Somewhat. But let's go back a little bit so that we fathom, we more intelligently comprehend why these visits have happened in the aftermath of the demise of the barrier of Raila Odinga. The period of his choice for burial was 72 hours between the point of his death and burial. So that was rather constricted in terms of dignitaries from other parts of the world, local politicians, the average Kenyan attending the funeral. And you saw the mob that was, rather the crowd that, showed up at the point there was a state memorial for him. And you can imagine now that same crowd then, going to the barrier. So we must see that there was a short space of time for even the former Ghanaian president to show up at the funeral. And so he was accompanied by His Excellency, the former President Uhuru. So the fact that there is that it's not paying homage, it's more like, what he has said, that you're going to empathize, condole with the deceased family members. So it's not like a shrine, as it were. Of course, beyond the optics, there is the political dividend that is to be derived by the politicians who want them to use it to show that, look, we are broad-based, quote unquote, in terms of our embrace of the former Prime Minister. Having said that, you asked a question about his relevance in future. I have to sound a little bit different, maybe disappointing to they who want to maintain that relevance. And I use a practical example of his deceased father, Jaramogi. Jaramogi was Kenya's first vice president. And beyond being the vice president, he then became quite a leader of the opposition, including Ford Kenya, that fragmented into what you could say the offshoots, including ODM. But what became of him? Upon his demise, although there is a shrine for him, as it were, as opposed to Raila Odinga's, we don't see that influence. So until and probably after the sinking of the reality of the ODM no longer has the cohesive person that they used to have, and therefore they probably need someone much more charismatic than, with tremendous respect to Honorable Oburu Odinga. I don't mean to demean him at all, but there are those who don't feel, quote unquote, feel the same charisma as Raila Odinga. Until that happens, I see it going the way of Jaramogi, with tremendous respect. Now,
by 2027?
You asked a question if Ruto could derive that political base and probably, quote unquote, inherit it. I doubt for two reasons. Number one, the individual politicians who are conglomerating, who are going behind Raila Odinga at the point of his, herding them, taking them, shepherding them into the broad base, they won't have that influence. And we may even see the fallout sooner than later with the cabinet reshuffle and so on and so forth. So that attrition of influence, the weathering, the dying off of influence by those individual politicians will now, should I say, impact ODM at the larger level, so that the people who are backing Raila Odinga en masse will very likely go back and introspect. Am I better off not backing Ruto as part of ODM, or in terms of my siding with whatever will bring relevance to my community or my people is what will pull me? So those questions will emerge. And so for me, I don't see Ruto banking largely on that. And I think being the schemer he is, he's trying to ensure that ODM still maintains that unitary front through, and I believe that with respect, Honorable Oburu is his quote-unquote project.
Okay. What do you feel about this? Do you think that Raila's name will still be relevant in 2027? And is that the reason why people are still making reference